This is a Jmix exclusive.
Hello all, it's Jmix here, and I did want to do a video to give everybody an update on what's going on in the current bizarre situation involving Suge Knight, the Tams cakes, F. Gary Gray, and his fiancee Toyland Kelly. As most of you may know, on January 30th of 2015, Suge Knight was arrested by the LA County Sheriff's Department for a hit and run involving longtime friend of his, Mr. Terry Carter. Now, this has been in the news, and I'm sure that everybody is aware of it. But since then, several allegations against Suge Knight have been leveled at him, including a robbery charge involving Cat Williams, intimidation charges against F. Gary Gray that happened this past August. Well, the charges allegedly this incident happened back in 2015 when Mr. F. Gary Gray was involved with directing Straight Outta Compton. It seems that every time that Suge Knight tries to file a motion to talk to his attorneys, he's blocked, as we've seen in recent instances where David Kinner has reappeared in the courtroom. But the story of today is about Toyland Kelly. Now, Toyland Kelly is Suge Knight's fiance, mother of his child, and an advocate for her fiance. And just recently, Toyland Kelly was arrested in September after a grand jury indicted her on charges of conspiring to violate a court order, obstruction of justice, and committing grand theft. They set her bail at $2 million, which a typical bail for that charge is around $45,000. If it was you or me being charged with the same thing, our bail would be roughly $45,000 to $50,000, which 10% bail would be, about $5,000 to walk out of jail. Now, this charge was stemming from an alleged sale of the Tams incident footage to TMZ. Now, it's my firm belief that this charge was to put pressure on Suge Knight and his family, so maybe Suge would cooperate or take a deal. But Toyland Kelly, being arrested in September, was held on a $2 million bail. Well, after sitting in jail for a while, she had a bail reduction, and the judge said that he couldn't in good conscience justify a $2 million bail. So they did drop her bail to $500,000. They did say that Toyland Kelly was engaged in witness tampering and other crimes at Suge Knight's behest, and this made her a threat to public safety. I think it's quite odd that they would think that a mom who is single is a threat to public safety, but that is what the prosecution argued. They did, like I said, they were able to lower the bail, and recently, this month, she has pleaded no contest to violating a court order for helping to arrange the sale of the video to TMZ. Now, this was a deal with the district attorney's office, and what the district attorney's office did was they dropped the charges of conspiracy to obstruct justice and conspiracy to commit grand theft, and she pled no contest to one of the charges, which was violating a court order for helping arrange the sale to TMZ. Now, the kicker to this is that even though Suge Knight's fiance, Toi-Lin Kelly, is now free, she is on 5 years probation, she, according to her attorney, Dimitri Gorin, has been barred from any contact with Suge Knight or members of his legal team. Now, this is interesting to me because Toyland Kelly is the biggest proponent of Suge Knight and has been the most vocal in his defense. And it is my opinion that the reason that she allegedly sold information to TMZ, i.e. the video that we've all seen of the hit and run, was to help exonerate Suge Knight, because I feel that maybe members of his inner circle didn't feel like LA County was going to give him a fair trial. It is a standard tactic for some lawyers or attorneys to try to put evidence out there, which is basically trying it in a court of public opinion. Now, this tactic would be to show the public in mass that Suge Knight might not be guilty of the crimes that he is being charged with. But it seems the closer and closer that Suge Knight has come to his actual trial date, the more and more charges that LA County is throwing at him, and the more and more people it is involving who are close to Suge Knight. You see that LA County and their judges have barred Suge Knight from hiring his own private investigators, as well as talking to more than one attorney at a time. And this is me referencing the recent event where David Kenner came in the courtroom after the Wrights had been indicted. And for those that don't know, Reggie Wright Jr. and Sr. were indicted on drug conspiracy charges for an alleged drug ring that went from LA to Tennessee, ran allegedly by Reggie Wright Jr. via the Grape Street Crips. Now, once that happened, Suge had a court appearance where he asked to confer with fired attorney David Kenner, and was denied by the judge because the judge said he did not have the power to do that. So, what we need to look at here, and what's important here to realize, is that Toyland Kelly, Suge Knight's fiancee, and Suge Knight's best ally in the public forum to defend her fiancé, is now barred from speaking to her fiancé and any member of his legal team. So, just so everybody understands, Toyland Kelly, after this prosecution deal that she made, is not allowed to talk to Suge Knight or his attorneys, and Suge Knight is not allowed to talk to her or his attorneys. So basically what we have here is any outside communications with Suge Knight's attorneys has been barred from the people that are closest to him, and Suge Knight's own communication with his attorneys has been barred by the courts. Suge Knight is allowed to talk to one attorney currently, and Suge Knight has a team of lawyers. And if anybody's ever been in the situation where you've had to defend yourself in a court of law, you understand that on a major felony, you are going to have several attorneys, including investigators, that you would need to be able to talk to on an individual basis or a group basis in order to prepare a substantial defense for yourself against these allegations of crime. Now, I have said in previous videos, and I've been very vocal, that I think that what is happening to Suge Knight is a travesty of justice, and I think with the revelation of what happened to Toyland Kelly, it is also an indication of the kind of dirty pool that LA County sheriffs and the LA County courts are playing with Suge Knight. Now, mind you, I do not think that Suge Knight is an innocent person in life, but I do believe in the justice system that we should prosecute people for the crimes that they are alleged to have done, not pass indiscretions. In the case of Terry Carter, I believe that Suge Knight has a very reasonable and solid defense of self-defense. But it does appear that the LA County Court is going to make this as difficult as possible for Suge Knight to actually defend himself. And if you look at this weird situation where the closer to the day of his trial, the more charges that they throw at him and the people close to him, this to me is a way to silence Suge Knight for good. Because I believe wholeheartedly that the prosecutors of LA County and officers of the court probably know that the self-defense case that Suge Knight has is pretty valid. So what they do in these scenarios is they will pile different charges on top of Suge Knight. So if they don't get him on one charge, they can get him on several other lesser charges or other crimes in general. And this is a standard tactic that happens all the time in the judicial system. Sometimes you can commit a crime, let's say it's assault, and they will charge you with different degrees of assault. So if the major charge doesn't stick, they have a better chance of having the jury pool actually convict you of a lesser charge. In this case, it appears that if Suge Knight beats the hit and run charge, then he would still be on the hook for the F. Gary Gray threats, and the robbery charge that was concerning a photographer taking a picture of his son in an alleyway when he was with Cat Williams and allegedly a camera was destroyed. Now, by letter of the law, can they charge him with a robbery? They can, but anybody who has had any experience in these situations know that that is a stretch to prove. This new revelation with Toyland Kelly shows how LA County, in my opinion, is doing the best that it can to close the net on Suge Knight. And what you need to do is ask yourself why. Why are they so intent on making sure that Suge Knight never walks out of prison? I have had inside sources that said that Suge Knight has had the bail money, that has had people that had the bail money. But then what LA County does is they will put that money on a hold so they can investigate where the funds come from. And that sometimes this can take a long time. But what I have been told is the people that are putting up the money are kind of hesitant to be vetted through LA County and possibly tied to Suge Knight. That is why his $25 million bail has not been reached or made by the day of this recording. Now, I am all for justice. I believe that Suge Knight deserves a fair trial with access to attorneys. I believe that what's going on with Toyland Kelly is just another attempt to separate any outside help for Suge Knight and to hinder any further communications between Suge Knight and his attorneys. I've also stated before, and I want people to maybe think about this and tell me what you think in the comments down below. Are they really doing this to Suge Knight because they feel that the crimes are so heinous? Or are they doing this to Suge Knight because they feel that Suge Knight could be very damaging to the LAPD? Now, recently you may remember earlier this year that Thaddeus Culpepper had come out and made a statement that's actually an old statement that was made a couple years ago after Suge was first arrested, when he had read R.J. Bond's talking points in Tupac 187. Thaddeus Culpepper had reached out and contacted Russell Poole and said that Suge said, "Who are these guys?" And he couldn't believe the detail, and he agreed that he was a target in the 1996 shooting of Tupac Shakur in Vegas. Now, he did agree with the idea that this was a conspiracy by Reggie Wright Jr. and Sharifa Golden, formerly known as Sharifa Knight, his ex-wife. And not very long after that statement aired, here comes an indictment against Reggie Wright. And for any of you that have seen the Fox special on Tupac with Ice-T, you will see that Reggie Wright is now openly admitting to fault in an open case that he has not pled guilty for yet, or not guilty for that matter. But when you see somebody openly admitting their guilt, that means a deal is being made. So, behind the scenes, we can only speculate on what's going on, but it would appear that some kind of deal is being worked out between Reggie Wright Sr., Jr., and the federal government, which could spell bad news for Suge. And with the revelation that's going on with Miss Toi-Lin Kelly, it would appear that the noose is tightening around Suge Knight. Now, I did reach out to Toy and her people for comment, but at this time they did decline the comment due to the nature of what is going on. I am sure, and this is my words and I am just speculating here, that they are definitely worried about hurting Suge Knight's chances on his case or affecting Miss Kelly's case or deal that she just signed. But the purpose of this video is to inform, and I just want to let you guys know the latest update in the saga that is Suge Knight. I appreciate you checking out the video, and I always do appreciate the discussion down below. So if you have a question or a thought about the case and what's going on with Suge Knight, go ahead and leave a comment down below, and I wish everybody out there blessings. One love, everybody. See you on the next upload.
This is a Jmix exclusive.
What up, shut up.